Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. This is the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It is a joy to be with you on Valentine's Day. Ding a ling, 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 ling. Everybody, I hope you're having a marvelous Valentine's Day. I really, really do. As is custom, my father sent me my first flowers. Not my only, thank heavens, but he sent me my first. He always does. Oh my goodness. And I just love him. My first love, my daddy. Not my last, but my first. And so I just thank him so much. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody, to everybody. What a blessing it is. See this picture from us from 1,000 years ago. Isn't it? That's dating me, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm,
Uh-huh. That's when he could hold me. Oops. There you go.
that's cool.
And so
Yeah.
everybody, I hope that you have a blessed Valentine's Day. Let's talk about the Democrats, the Democratic establishment, and the Democratic progressives, the activists on the ground. There are differences. Ariel Gold, Fellowship of Reconciliation, Executive Director, and of course, along with along with you, Ronnie Patrice, brilliant Democratic operative and consultant, a Palestinian American activist. We were there, and as activists and people who come from the activist and movement communities, we were a little bewildered, befuddled by what was going on there. Hey, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds. Yeah, we were trying to figure it out. T.O. Hardiman,
Right. Please, right.
brilliant author, former governor, gubernatorial candidate for in the state of Illinois, got 30% of the vote, just about. And it is now not a closed secret. It is now out in the open that the Democratic progressives and the Democratic establishment are going back and forth. The Democratic progressives and activists are saying, we need you to be the opposition. The Democratic establishment, in the personages of Senator Chuck Schumer from the U.S. Senate, the minority leader, uh, and the man who would be Speaker of the House, the minority leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. They had it out with with two of our biggest groups and several others. They said, "Look, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, you all are overloading the switchboard with all these phone calls. What are you doing?" And they said, "What are you doing? We need you to be the loyal opposition. That is what we need, and we need you to do it right now, right now, right now, right now." So let's talk about this. What will all of this mean? What will all of this mean? What does all of it mean? So let me just read a little bit to you because I just saw this and I said this headline is made for everybody here. Dems reportedly angry. This is from Common Dreams. Dems are reportedly angry that progressives are pushing them to act like an opposition party. What? Jake Johnson reports House Democratic lawmakers reportedly used a closed door meeting earlier this week to vent their frustrations with progressive advocacy groups. Hmm That have been driving constituent calls by the thousands, everybody, to the offices of Democratic leadership, everybody, citing unnamed sources, he continues, including a senior House Democrat. Axios reported Tuesday that the private meeting included a gripe fest directed at groups like Move On and Indivisible, which have facilitated thousands of calls to members, and they've pressured the party to use its considerable power to disrupt business as usual in Congress. So, what do you think about that? House Minority Leader Jeffries is reportedly very, very frustrated with the progressive organizations, which have urged people across the country to get involved. Call 202-224-3121, as I'm urging you to do right now. 202-224-3121. Because the only way people are going to move, as we know, Ariel Gold, and you know this for yourself, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds and Ronnie Patrice and T.O. Hardiman, nobody moves unless you make them move. What is that? I guess it's from physics. An object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. So there is that. So Don't get upset with MoveOn.org and Indivisible and other activist groups because they're your energy. They're the people going to get out the voters. Really. They're the margin of winning and losing. So I want to know what your thoughts are. And I'm going to start with you, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, because I'd like to, because you're an elected official here. And so you would be in a meeting like this. So, and so take us inside. I mean, what? It seems like it was contentious because I think the Democrats are very, very frustrated as we've been coming out of the Democratic National Committee meeting. You know, you were eager to talk about what happened there. You said, I've got a lot of thoughts, so go for it. What do you make of this report, and what do you make of what where the Democrats are and are not?
Well, Santita, I think this is a very pertinent conversation. When I first saw the article, the news alert on my phone from Axios, that Leader Jeffries and Chuck Schumer were upset with Move On and Indivisible, I I was a little puzzled and baffled from it. I'm just going to be very transparent with you. They were on the when I say they, I mean the activist grassroots groups. They were on the front line rallying people to push back against President Trump and these awful executive orders. I was so excited to see the leadership doing that. They mobilized quickly. The rally that was at the Department of Treasury, a few that was very successful and impromptu with members of Congress that came by. It was those organizations. It wasn't members of Congress that did that rally and organized it. It was the grassroots. And the grassroots are the ones demanding that our elected officials fight. And so I was a little puzzled as to why they would be pointing their anger at these activist groups that are simply demanding from their elected officials, hey, grow up, grow one. Fight this Trump administration. We know that you're in the minority, but we want you to fight. We want you to push back. We want you to be the resistance. That's what they were urging them to do. I don't personally, as an elected official that holds leadership positions, I personally would not feel threatened or angry if grassroots organizations did that with me. I would be like, hey, we're a team. Let's run at this together, inside, outside. I'm on the inside in the Capitol. You're on the outside. Let's join forces together and fight against this tyranny, this obstructionist Trump administration. So personally, I thought it was misguided. I thought that they should be championing this resistance that's led by Move On and Indivisible and other groups as well. And so I thought it was misplaced. We should be, there should be accountability on our part. Yes, we are in the minority, and yes, we are doing some things, but we could do more. And so they were pushing them to get out of their comfort zone and say, damn it, the desperate measures, drastic measures call for drastic results. And that's what they were doing. They were sounding the alarm bell. And so personally, I probably get in trouble for this, but I think that Leader Jeffries and Minority Leader Schumer were it was misplaced. I on this side, on this issue right here, I think the grassroots organizations were on the right side of the issue. That's not saying that they're bad people. I just think that they sometimes when we hold these positions, how dare outsiders question us? They don't know we're doing this and that. Sometimes it can be unfounded, right? But in this case, I think that they were on the right side of this issue. And because at the time there wasn't a large outcry from members of Congress at the time. Maybe you had a few here, Congresswoman Crockett, Congresswoman AOC, a few of them were sounding the alarm bells. But as a whole, we didn't see that fight from the leadership, and we didn't see that fight from the caucus as a whole. So they were channel this energy into the resistance. So like I said, I think it was misplaced, and I think that we should be commending these organizations for being part of the resistance, because there was so much deflation with shock and awe. There were so many people walking around in despair, hopeless, like bewildered because one executive order after another executive order, bad bill after bad proposals, this nominee, all this stuff was happening right at once. It was shock and awe. So these organizations was like, look, we want y'all to step up. We want y'all to do this, push back, slow down these confirmation hearings, slow down this stuff from being rolled out, and fight. Santita, I think
Look,
they were doing the right thing.
I'm not mad at you, but I mean, to even say I could get
Well,
in trouble for this. I mean, you're not a
well,
child. You're an elected
because
official.
how dare I criticize leadership, right? That's what I mean.
Wait a minute. Excuse me, Texas State Representative Ron Riddles. You're head of
National, I know
wait.
national leadership, like
No,
but
no, no,
I'm gonna
wait.
always speak truth to power, Santita. I don't care. I don't have to be invited to the gatherings. I'm gonna speak truth to power. I'm gonna do what's right. I want to be on the right side of history. And these are not times for kumbaya. These are not times for sitting on our hands and waiting for the midterm election. We don't know what's going to happen. No, we have the fight is now. It's not
But
two
you've been
years from
sent
now.
there.
It's now.
Let me let everybody know he's head of the Legislative Black Caucus in Texas.
Okay.
Texas has more Black people than any other state in the union.
Oh, yeah.
It is blacker now than Mississippi.
Mm.
So wait a minute, because this is what Rania, Ariel, when we were in Washington, Tio, we were saying they're not talking about any of the things that we're dealing with when we go home. I said, I got a full-on migrant issue in Chicago. I mean, it's full on. We could lose a progressive mayor over this. They're even talking about bringing Rahm Emanuel back in Chicago because people they're so angry with Brandon Johnson, and it is not his fault. It's not his fault. You got the H-1B visas at the top. You got the Tent Partnership for Refugees at the bottom. They're bringing the people in. Gregory Abbott, your governor, can send these people right back across the border if he wanted to, but that is not the policy. He's part of the World Economic Forum. Don't sleep. He has sent everybody all over the country because they're putting them to work for cheap. And we were in Washington. They didn't even talk about that, Ariel. I was like, how do you expect to win if people are paying $8, $9, $10 for a dozen eggs? How are you going to run? How are you going to recapture the House? Hakeem Jeffries is 3 or 4 votes shy of being the speaker. How's he going to get that if you don't speak to the needs of the people? Whatever you say about Trump, I don't know what he's going to do, but I tell you what, I see what he is doing. He is speaking not above people's heads. He's speaking to them. And that is what they like. We had a Black Republican on yesterday, and we were talking yesterday. It was about 5 of us or so. Hey, what is it that Black men like about Trump? They said because he does what he said he's going to do. He delivers. That's all I'm asking you to do, Ariel. Why be angry with Move On and Indivisible? Wait, and Code Pink and the rest of us who are saying, hey, Ariel.
It took Hitler 53 days to dismantle democracy in Germany.
How many?
53 days. And Trump is on track to do so here in the U.S. much sooner. And the Democratic Party is sitting around twiddling their thumbs and trying to blame Move On and Indivisible and everyone else. And reality is it's the Democratic Party that got us into this situation. I heard today Democrats going on whining about we must always be continuing to give weapons to Ukraine. And so it's like the same old thing while this, what is a coup is taking place. And you're right. Trump does talk to the people. I'm a news junkie, and so I often have CNN or whatever on in the background.
It's on right here.
They're just staring at their navels, talking to themselves, and they're not even playing the press conferences that are taking place or Trump's interviews. And we should be paying attention to what's happening because you're right. Trump is relatable in these moments. He was going on yesterday explaining, the dismantling of all these agencies and the waste. And the thing is, he's right about the waste. But why we're going after the why he's going after the Department of Education rather than the Pentagon is he isn't being talked about. And if you watch CNN, you're not paying attention to any of it at all. And in the meantime, folks are hearing that, right? They are hearing that he is turning the system upside down, and he's right that the system needs to be turned upside down, and that's what folks are responding to. It just happens that he's turning it upside down in a fascist, racist, horrific, painful coup. But if we are not dealing with that, and so I've been, and I've said this a few times here on this show, I've been like kind of obsessing with what happened during the Third Reich. Like, how did that happen? And so quickly, right? 53 days. So there's a new article out in the Atlantic that chronicles exactly what happened in 53 days, because we're on track for that with the way things are happening. And we have politicians, Democratic politicians, who are behaving as though nothing unusual is going on. At this rate, we'll be lucky to get to the 2026 elections. So let's fight. And we have to be out there as well, wanting to turn the system, the broken system, the military industrial complex and the pharmaceutical industrial complex and all of that upside down as well. But we want to turn it upside down so that there's health care for all, so that there's education for all, and we need to be out there making that case.
53 days. I mean, and FDR, when he was confronted by A. Philip Randolph, because Black people said we're being lynched, we're living in Jim Crow, this was not the promise when we came out of slavery, and you want us to go fight for democracy abroad when I don't have it here, I can't vote. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to do that. FDR said, you know what, you're right about everything, but you need to go out and march and make me do it. What did you just say, Texas State Representative Reynolds? You said, wait a minute. I'm on the inside. You're on the outside. Let's do this together. I mean, Tio.
Yeah.
Why are they angry with them? Everybody meet me on Blue Sky on, of course, santitajackson.bsky.social, the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Everybody, and Santita Jackson and friends on Facebook, and I'm still on X at Santita J. Everybody meet me over there right now. So, Tio, What do you make of this? I mean, why are they mad with the activists?
Well, I'd say this much. The Democratic Party, if they haven't learned anything from Trump, they should learn to get out of their comfort zone, number one. And a lot of times when you're in a particular party, sometimes you cannot break the ranks and speak your mind sometimes. Everything has to be kind of orchestrated. And we got to get beyond that right now. The Democrats have to find some kind of a person that, I'm not saying a controversial person, I'm saying somebody that's bold enough to speak the hearts of the people. So there's no need to be mad at the progressive organizations, because you need the organizations to support your cause. But because the Democrats have failed to reinvent themselves, so now they want to point fingers. So I wouldn't be so upset with individuals, none of those organizations, because I'm more of a progressive myself, and we speak our mind, Rep. Reynolds, okay? We speak our mind. And a lot of times people are afraid of individuals like myself because I may say some things that are true. And people, see, for example, let me give you this example. I post a lot of stuff on my LinkedIn, and a lot of people agree with me on my LinkedIn, but some of them will send me a private message saying, I agree with you, keep it going. But they cannot come out front. And what a lot of Democrats do, like the old song by B.B. King, I think you made your move too soon. They cannot make their move too soon, because they might find themselves disenfranchised or alienated by the Democratic Party because they said something that most of the Democrats don't pretty much agree with. We got to really go, put our heads together, come up in a think tank, and put it all together before the next presidential election. Because if not, what's going to happen? The Democrats are going to find themselves behind the 8 ball time and time again. And I'm not against the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm just weighing this here conversation out. We got to get out of our comfort zone, Santita, because how can you become angry at groups that can help you at different times or another, and groups that that have helped you. So, like you got a lot of people that throw rocks and hide their hands. We got to stop that business. If you mean, say what you mean and mean what you say. And that's the reason why Trump is getting so much traction right now, because he's coming across as this guy that's going to deliver. So far, that then he probably studied what Hitler did, in Nazi Germany for them 53 days. You never know. He might have studied that whole process.
I think he has studied everything. He's
Yeah.
also studied movements and how people move. People like that
There you go.
are
Yeah.
not just because as we look at, I mean, I think we need to be mindful of Hitler, but we also need to be mindful of movements, period. Fascist movements tend to start from the left anyway.
Always.
Because they're populist in nature, right?
Yeah.
So we need to, I mean, the fact is the oligarchs have taken over the place, but they've been quietly doing it for a long time.
They've been planning.
Yeah.
And those who what they say, those who fail to plan to fail. And we cannot take anything for granted right now, as the Democrats cannot take anything for granted if we plan to, get back in power sooner or later, because the Republicans control the House and the Senate right now. So it's pretty much a done deal. They just confirmed JF Kennedy today. And no matter who's up there, they're going to confirm him, because no one wants to go against the grain right now, because they may find themselves on the outside looking in overnight.
Well,
I'm talking about overnight.
He wasn't
That's what
fighting.
happened.
And for the record, I'm very happy that RFK got in.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
No,
I want
no,
to say
no.
that.
I wasn't. That was not to fight. I'm just saying for the record, I want someone who's going to ask him questions and because he's not an anti-vaxxer. Everybody, we'll talk about that another day. I'm
Got it. Another time. Yeah.
I'm tired of that. The fact is, I'm not able to ask any questions. So because now, Rania, I've got the top Democratic leadership saying, "Oh, you're ringing my phone off the hook." Rania, what is that? I'm ringing. Of course, I'm ringing the phone off the hook. And why is that a problem, Rania?
My favorite thing about all of this is the excuses. Well, no, they should have had our constituents calling us. No, you are in leadership. You are in leadership, and that's an excuse. And listen, I know I've worked on the Hill. I know how this works. Yes, it is important for members to hear from their constituents. I absolutely agree with that. But you are Democratic leadership, and they know that is not how that works. That is an excuse. They are failing. They're sitting around talking about making sandwiches on Instagram instead of how they're going to fight back fascism and how they're going to show up for communities and how they're going to show up in this moment, and they want to blame everybody else except for themselves. We have failed. I'm going to say we because I am a Democrat. I'm a lifelong Democrat, so I will say we. We have, even though I've been fighting. You said outside looking in. I've been on the outside looking in my entire life. Next month it'll be 25 years next month. I've worked in this madness, and I've always been on the outside looking in. That's okay. It's okay. But I'm sick of this, of the excuses. And we talked about this. How many times, Santita, did we talk about them? Democrats talking about how strong the economy was. Meanwhile, people can't afford groceries. Meanwhile, people can't afford rent. Meanwhile, people are trying to figure out if their child gets sick, how are they going to be able to put food on the table? And Democrats want to talk about a strong economy. Meanwhile, you've got this guy who exactly what y'all are talking about. He's speaking to the pain of the moment. Is he lying? Absolutely, he's lying to the American people, but he's speaking to their pain.
I mean, and that's he is speaking to their pain, and he looks sour and angry like everybody else.
Yes. Yes. And of course, then he won and immediately came out and said, oh, it's going to be really hard to drop those grocery prices. That's what, so like he does that. He plays this game, but then he comes out and he plays this strongman card and he's acting like this big tough guy. Meanwhile, he's talking about tariffs that are actually going to raise money, it's going to raise price, but he's playing this game with people and he's still speaking to people's pain.
That's right.
And again, Democrats are talking about making sandwiches on Instagram lives. So you see the difference here. And I'm not making that up. I'm not making a joke. That's literally Senate Democrats got in a room and that was their strategic conversation was how are they going to have a viral moment? Oh, do you remember when Tim Kaine made I think it was a tuna sandwich on Instagram?
Are you
Y'all.
serious?
I,
What?
I mean, help me make it make sense.
You
Make
can't.
it make sense. It does not make sense. When people, and again, it is a million, and that, what is his name? Bannon. He said it. He named it several years ago. He said, our biggest enemy is the media. All we have to do is flood the zone. Remember? Do y'all remember when he
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that? All we
Mhm.
have to do is flood the zone. And my God, that's what he did. And that is Donald Trump's genius. He will create mass chaos and keep us all distracted. And if we don't have real leadership, case in point, what's happening right this moment. And meanwhile, you got people saying like, like, what are we going to do? We don't have Twitter anymore. Who gives a damn about Twitter? It is time to get back into our communities, that deep community connection and organizing. Forget, and I don't mean to dog on marches. Like, I think that though that sense of community is important too, but what next? What happens next? And that's what I'm asking. So Schumer and Jeffries and all the rest of the leadership getting mad at these organizations just trying to give people that something to do to push them to be better. Uh-uh. That is so misdirected. It's so misdirected. They need to
And then,
get into their communities.
and what I mean, and then they go and they wag their fingers in their faces.
Oh
If you
yeah.
don't vote, I mean, there are consequences.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I'm so sick of seeing the Arab American community scapegoated. I
Oh,
mean,
good.
oh no, no, I'm not
Yeah.
disgusted with it. I see
Yeah.
them. I saw them try to pick on black men, but I think black women. I think we pushed back enough to say, hey, don't do that.
Mm-mm.
No. But I feel that I mean, my feelings about Arab American community, that community as well,
Absolutely.
because I said, how
Absolutely.
are you going to tell Rashida to leave? That well, just as long as I mean, the bombs are raining on her grandmother, so she's not supposed to be angry.
That, no, listen, but the thing that makes me more angry, that is my
Oh my,
community. You're
oh,
talking to my community, and I worked my ass off. Pardon my French. I pushed Biden. I was in that office pushing them, and then Vice President Harris too. And they told us to go fly a kite. And then despite that, so many of us still worked so hard and said, listen, we were honest. We said, she's not been great. He's not been great. Yes, they are committing genocide against our people. But my God, if we're going to live to fight another day, and if our allies who have been fighting with us are going to live to fight another day, we got to do this. It hurts. It's painful. So many of us stood up and did that against our own, while our families are literally being bombed to death using our tax dollars. We still stood up and did that. And those same establishment voices are pointing their fingers at us and saying, we told you so, and elections have consequences.
Mm,
Uh-uh.
that's
No,
correct.
I am so done with that BS. I am so done with it. I have zero patience for it. And you know what? I am a lifelong Democrat. I did help build this party. And you all, not you all, obviously, all of you are lovely, but they all turned their backs on us and
keep on
told,
talking.
and told us that I'm a bad Democrat. How dare I? I want Donald Trump to win. All these things.
You know what? We were in Washington. Stay right there, because we were in Washington together, the three of us, advocating for Dr. James Zogby, to become vice chair. And when I saw the pejoratives, oh my gosh, that they leveled at this man, the senior statesman of the party, I said, are you serious right now? Are you serious? What is wrong with everybody here? And then you want them to get up and vote for you. But
Mm-hmm.
you're angry that people are getting engaged in the process, Ariel. Representative Reynolds, what mean you want people to call an office?
Absolutely. San-
Yo, go
Santita,
on. Yo, go
Santita,
on.
you
Do
know,
it.
you're a history buff, and so you'll appreciate this. You know, when I looked at some of the documentaries, and when you had SNCC in full effect, you had SCLC, NAACP, as then the agitators that were grassroots that were pushing the administration to pass the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, they were like, "Hey, slow down! You're being too, you're doing too much, King. You're doing too much, Jesse Jackson. You guys need to, ease up. Stop putting pressure on us. It takes time. It takes time. We need, but." If it wasn't for the agitators, if it wasn't for the grassroots, the people, boots on the ground, making good trouble, agitating them and letting them know, they wouldn't have put the political capital, the elected officials would have been in their comfort zone. It took all of that to get those things done. And so I'm reminded in this point of where we are, that these organizations are on the right side of history, pushing, demanding accountability, letting them know we're watching. You can't hide stuff anymore because of social media and the way that the news cycle works, right? People have more access, and so they can see that you're not doing what you're saying you're doing, and so they expect more. And I think that as elected officials, we signed up for it. When you agree to accept to be on the ballot, then you're a public servant to serve the public. That's what you do, and not serving special interests, not trying to make yourself a centerpiece, but to serve the least of them. And so that is why I'm so proud of these organizations, because they are demanding accountability. They're demanding that their elected officials, that leadership leads, and they push back against the obstructionist oligarchs that are dominating and trampling upon the rights of Blacks with this browns, Hispanics, LGBTQ, poor folks, with this anti-DEI and all of this bad crap that they're promulgating that only benefits the rich and the very, very wealthy folks in this country. So I could not commend them more, and they need to keep it going. And the leadership needs to embrace these activists that are willing to not give up and sit on their hands, but they demand accountability from their elected officials. So I think it's a two street. I think it would be wrong or disingenuous if they were demanding it from leadership, but they were saying, "Hey, we're not going to do anything. It's y'all need to fix it." They're saying, "Let's go out in the streets together. Let's push back together." I haven't heard them say anything that I disagree with, Santita. All they're demanding is accountability and that they fight, because you can't win if you don't fight. Yeah, the odds may be against us. We are outnumbered in the House, the Senate. Trump has the Supreme Court. He has the billionaire, the man's richest man in the world, right behind him, supporting him. But I believe that David did slay Goliath. I believe that with faith and a mustard seed, you can move mountains. So you can't move it if you don't fight. If you don't fight, you never win. So thank you, activists. Don't stop. Don't give up. Don't be frustrated, but double down and continue to press forward, and demanding leadership does the same thing.
But the Democrats know it has been analyzed, it has been codified. Ariel, everybody here, we've been gerrymandered out of the majority.
Yes.
Yes, we have.
We've been gerrymandered out of the majority. They know it. They don't say anything about it. Michael Brandon says Democrats are blaming themselves instead of being proactive against the coup that will dismantle democracy within the next few months. And Michael continues, it's happening right now. Why argue in a burning house? And because the Democratic Party eats its own. Yeah. I mean, you're running around with Liz Cheney. You should have been running around with Bernie and with AOC and with some other people who mean something to our community. And Robert Williams says, a lot of fake kicking is why things are the way they are nowadays. Snowman, the question needs to be asked. Why didn't Biden use all his power? Trump and Musk seem to have, they're using their power. So, I mean, I think you're asking a heck of a question.
That's a legitimate question.
That's a legitimate question. Well, you know what? His politics were always more right-wing. And people want to admit. Michael continued, the embarrassing thing about the detrimental Donald. That's okay. That's interesting. And ill effects of Trumpism is the Democrats' fault. He said that's pure BS, y'all. If we keep approaching Trump's demagoguery as democratic problems, those problems will never be solved as long as Trump is in power. Yeah, they will. If we get out in the streets, we can do it. We can get the House back in 2026, but we can't get it back when I've got these people who are twiddling around, playing around as if running on joy when people are miserable. And when you're telling me to shut up and stand down, when this is the time we need to be standing up, they should be registering everybody they can to vote.
Hmm.
And Santita,
Yes.
what if leadership, instead of wagging their fingers in the faces of these progressive organizations that are actually doing something, what if they invited them into their offices and said, look, let's do this together. What are
Yeah.
you hearing in your communities? How can we be of service? How do we do this together? What if they did that? Oh my gosh, wouldn't all of our brains just explode?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? If in this moment, when there is so much pain and so much suffering and so much fear, the elite of the leadership of the federal Democratic Party came together with the grassroots of the progressive movement and said, how do we do this together? My God, wouldn't that be something?
But you know what? All we have to do is go past them because we did this
Yeah.
40 years
Oh
ago.
yeah,
With,
absolutely.
with Reverend
Absolutely.
Jackson, he never waited on these Democrats to do anything because they weren't going to do anything because they're conservative. They are. So what he did was he continued to register people to vote and walked out of the 84 convention and the 84 campaign, registering people to vote. And they took over the Senate at the height of Reagan's popularity in 1986. I keep going back to that time because that's when we were active. Now you got all these black leaders out here. Why aren't y'all registering people to vote? Am I hearing
Well,
cricket?
no, there appears to be a lot of
I mean,
hustling
and I'm
and
not. And wait a minute,
hustling
and
going
not
on
just
out
black
there.
leaders, Tio. I
I
mean,
hear you.
everybody. Tell. You know what? Tell MoveOn.org. You know what? I hear you. There's some things that I can't do from here, but what you can do is go out here and get some people registered to vote. It is the law in Texas
Yeah.
for your seniors to be registered, your high school seniors to be registered to vote. Well, Greg Abbott needs to enact that law. I
That's
didn't say
right.
register Democrats or Republicans. I said just get everybody registered to vote. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I want to say, Santita, you have many models out here. Rep Reynolds talked about the NAACP. You had CORE back then.
Core
What's
was
that?
another one. That's
Yeah,
right.
CORE is another one, right? So if you study that history, and if the Democrats go back and just look at that history, how those movements were successful, no matter what people have to say. Dr. King, your father, a lot of the leaders, unsung heroes of the past, they pushed the envelope all the way to get civil rights, legislation passed. All right, even though there was like a little issue between the Black Power movement at the same time with the civil rights movement, but everybody worked together in the end to bring forth progress. So if we want to look at progress in today's world, just going on the local level in Chicago, when Laquan McDonald was executed by Officer Jason Van Dyke, a lot of us, the grassroots community leaders, began to speak up and raise our voices, and the Democrats did not get on board with us. Now, hear me clearly, until we shut down Michigan Avenue. When we shut down Michigan Avenue, we saw everybody want to come around because it was proven that this young guy was shot and killed in a very wrongful manner, right? So the thing is, everybody's sitting on the sidelines. You got to get involved right now and right away. Now, a bigger question is this: who is the go-to person in the Democratic Party right now? Who is that person that we've identified that can be sort of like that person in the forefront that can galvanize the support and re-energize the Democratic Party? Nobody comes to mind in my mind. No name comes to my mind. All right, I'm talking about
But Tio,
somebody that can.
but it's never the insider. It's always the outsiders.
I got you. I was about to
Because
say that outsider,
okay,
right?
yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
saying because Reverend was never an insider. Do
Okay.
you know the first time he has not had a seat, literally he has not had a seat at the convention since 2004, Ariel and Rania.
All right. Oh, that's messed up.
No. And in 2008, Democratic leadership all the way at the top asked him not to come to the convention. For the record, Reverend never said that he would do something violent to then Senator Obama. He said if he didn't stop talking down to black people, that black people would do that. Has that not been happening?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to get it straight. So the people who built the party, Ariel and Rania, Okay? Your margin of victory and your margin of loss was uncommitted. Stop angering them. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Hey, whatever you say about Robert Kennedy, he came to the Democrats first.
Hmm.
He came here first. We wouldn't even return his call. Are you nuts? You at least entertain the thought, even if you say, no, thank you. That's 600,000 votes that you left on the table. There were not 2 percentage points that separated Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Not 2. I mean, y'all know the numbers. Ariel? Rania?
I think we forget sometimes the work that it has taken to get where we are today, and the work that movements require. And it's not just a spontaneous thing. Rosa Parks wasn't just some random woman who all of a sudden was like, I'm not going to sit here anymore because I'm just sick of it, right? It's a strategic, disciplined, requires training and education and practice and discipline and more discipline. And that's where we need to be, because we cannot rely on our party leaders. They have let us down, and they are just showing us over and over and over again that they are going to continue to let us down. So we need to be in that stage, right? We need to be strategizing and coming together. And I'm all for love a good protest and love a good march, but we need more than that. We need what's behind it, what Reverend brought about. It needs to be part of a vision, of a strategic vision. It's one thing to come out in the streets because you're angry or you're upset, but it's another to have a specific goal for that's achievable and that works towards the next goal, and recognize that sacrifice is probably going to be necessary. It always has been, whether that sacrifice was, getting beat up, or that sacrifice is going to jail, or that sacrifice is losing a degree of privilege or prestige or a title or any of that. What are we willing to give up, and how can we come together and really bring about an end to this coup that's taking place right as we speak?
I mean, they're angry with the wrong people, Ariel.
Yep.
Rania. I mean, Rania, I know you got to run, but it's
I do, and I just, if I could just say one quick thing, just to bring us back, and I'm sorry to harp on it, but I do think it's important, because if we have a hope of bringing it back together, and we saw this happen, like you said, Santita, we were all in DC, the chair race for the DNC happened, and all of these chair candidates were running around the country talking about listening to the voters. I dropped this poll that IMEU actually just did of voters who voted for Joe Biden in 2020 and did not vote for Kamala Harris in 2024. And also, some of those surveyed were also voters of the vice president in 2024. And I'm just gonna, you can look up the information, but just very quickly gonna say the issue that was motivating, the most motivating, that also kept people home, was Gaza. And I will tell you that I know, and it's now been reported, the chair of the vice president's campaign, when senior staff brought up Gaza, said, and I quote, "No one gives a shit about Gaza." When volunteers received calls or they got emails back specifically on our taxpayer dollars being used to commit genocide, they were told to either not track it, to track it as no response, or to not data enter it at all. So as we are thinking about what's going to happen next, as our leadership is wagging their fingers in the faces of people just trying to get our leadership to pay attention to the pain of our communities, I just want to put a finer point on the fact that we better start listening to our communities. We really better start listening
and not have contempt.
Exactly.
I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, because You don't go to the leader of a union and say you need to get on board because you know we're going to win with or without you. Are you for real?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and and then you turn around to people who are losing their relatives and their people every single day. I mean, I saw this boy, this little Palestinian child, going through one of these camps. He had no hands and he had no legs.
Mm.
And he's walking. He was walking around. Are you for real? Where is your heart? What is wrong with you? There's evil in the world, and this is evil. And you want people just to sit down and take it? The people of the Congo are hurting. The people of Haiti are hurting. You're going to put people in Guantanamo Bay and at the base? What? What are you doing? This isn't right. It's not right. And to tell these people who you depend upon to get folks out into the streets, you need to stop calling. So you don't want them to vote. I mean, Ariel, what's that?
And to take a more radical position, right? And that's what the people are telling them. So you mentioned Guantanamo Bay.
Oh.
Well, Guantanamo Bay was live and kicking under Democratic administrations, right?
Yes.
So this is, much of the problem. We want to continue. The Democrats, not we. The Democratic Party wants to continue with business as usual, and that business as usual is what got us to this Trump administration. So it is about high time that we turn the tables and we make that real change. If we're going to condemn putting people in Guantanamo Bay, then let's condemn putting people in Guantanamo Bay, and let's own the fact that Democrats have done so as well.
And Rania, you got the last couple of minutes. Well, I mean, we're going to have several minutes before that, but she's got a hard out at the top of the hour. Rania.
All right.
Yeah, I just, really just appreciate the space and every single, you, of course, Santita, and every person on this panel, just understanding what we're up against here, the realities, and again, the shared pain. And I often say, and I know, Santita, you and I have talked about this a lot, and I think it's always worth repeating. To me, the cornerstone of white supremacy is making us believe that we are each other's enemy.
Oh, yeah.
That we are here to fight each other rather than the true enemy, making us believe that the system is broken when actually it's not broken. It's functioning exactly as it's meant to function for the people it's meant to function for. And so as we move forward together, as we understand what we're up against together, just when we talk about collective liberation, understanding it's not a cute buzzy word, but really understanding that we really are moving together in this. I really believe in my bones that is our only hope. That moving together in this, not succumbing to what the leadership wants to scare us into submission and believe they're going to shut the door in our face and we won't get the party invite and we won't get the picture with the whatever. I don't care. Ron said it too. He doesn't care. I love that. We don't care. Santita, I know you don't care. Nobody here cares about that.
I
We
really
don't care. We don't care about that. We care about humanity and justice and collective liberation. And that's what we're here for. And I'm just so grateful to be fighting this fight alongside all of you.
Well, we're together. We're family. And even if we agree, even when we disagree, we're going to be family. And that's okay. And the thing is, what we have to do is be mature enough to understand we are fighting the same enemy.
Yes.
We are. I mean, look, Elon Musk is in charge. Have you seen the Time magazine meme with Elon Musk at the big desk in the Oval Office? And
I saw that.
Did you see that? Did you see? Someone said it was AI. I don't think it was AI. Elon Musk's son telling the president to shut up.
Yeah, that's something else.
I said to a friend of mine, I said, that's not AI. I said, you see how angry Trump looks, but he can't say anything. He said, you're not the president. You need to leave.
I can see Trump saying something just like that because with
No, no,
Elon
no.
Musk,
This
yeah,
Elon Musk baby.
Right.
yeah, I heard that. Yep, his baby.
I'm, I'm, I'm trying to hold myself together because you know
So
what?
wait a minute, Elon Musk, his son said that to
Son.
President Trump.
The one who he keeps
Yeah.
carrying around on his shoulders.
Okay,
The one who's privy to what his
I
daddy
got
is.
it now. Okay.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and Trump is looking not happy
Mm.
because
The
all these
mother is spitting mad that the kid was the
he,
guy.
But
he looked so angry and he was just sitting there and he couldn't say anything. These are the people running our lives right now.
we know
I,
Trump, he'll kick Elon Musk out the White House. Trust me. Trump one
oh,
of them guys.
oh,
Let them
he's that
fall out for real. Let
no,
them fall out all the way.
he's that guy now. Don't play.
Yes,
You
that's
all,
right.
I literally have a minute because we got to get over to the next hour because we're going to continue with this conversation because a lot of people want to jump in here, but I got about 30 seconds for everybody. So To your book, I
Yeah,
need
I just want, my book is always
you.
Interrupting Gun Violence, the Public Health Model. You can find it on Amazon. And it's an honor to be on your show once again, Santina. Okay?
Oh,
I love
I want to
Give,
talk to you
give me.
about that.
All right, one day we
Yeah,
have to.
appreciate it.
We're gonna talk about that because that's a real big thing. Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds.
Activists, not just Move On and Indivisible, but all activist groups continue to provoke our leadership to speak out and speak up. You are the boss of every elected official because you have the power to hire and fire them. So hold us accountable. Don't stop. Don't let this noise deter you from having elected officials that are willing to push back against the Trump administration and do everything that it takes to fight until we're able to stop and slow down and then get to the next election. So continue to press on and press forward. Don't ever stop speaking truth to power.
There you go.
Ariel Gold.
Yeah, well, we don't need Chuck Schumer's permission to to get organized and get out there and do the necessary work. It's never been easy, and we have long been on the outside. And if we're on the outside of our own party, so be it. And we will do that pushing whether they like it or not, because as we say, as Jewish folk like myself, as we say about the liberation of Palestine, it will be good for us too.
Well, that part. And happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We got part 2 of the Valentine's Day show. This from my daddy. He's always the first person. I got some other flowers, but I tell you what, these
That's right.
mean everything to me with that
That's
guy.
good.
That's right. He's always the first one. He said to my firstborn, boo, the first man I've ever loved, my
I love
daddy.
it.
That's
How
right.
sweet. How
Not the
sweet.
last, but the first. He set the bar real high. Everybody, God bless you. And whether it is a platonic or romantic love, the commandment is to love. So let's celebrate that today. Let's
All right.
celebrate loving, 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 loving. It's not a suggestion, everybody. It's a commandment. Let's get right to it. Happy
Valentine's Day.
everybody.
Thank
Happy Valentine's Day to all the ladies, for sure.
To all the ladies, thank you. Boom.
That's right. And Santita. Santita, the Ariel. Yes, indeed. Happy Valentine's Day.
Sending you much love, babe.
All right.
AM
And I'll be
950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota.